Hi, I'm Kurt from Oz Armour and welcome to Workshop Wednesday. Father-son duo Glenn and Bo have flipped the STUG back over and have begun work on the superstructure. This is a really big moment as it'll be the first time in over 80 years that these parts were seen together as a whole. We're also going to start getting a bit of a glimpse of how this vehicle is going to look when it's finally finished in a little over a year's time. So sit back, relax and enjoy episode 4 of the STUG 3G. In the last episode, Bo welded the floor from the outside. Now, he has to put in a root weld on the inside of the vehicle. Keep in mind that each of these sticks take about 40 seconds to weld in each, so it's quite a process. Now that the floor is properly welded in, it's time to head back to the part pile in the museum.
One piece at a time.
It's getting smaller.
Yeah, slowly, you're getting there. Actually bolt into the front. You can see three bolts at the front of that plate. So the superstructure comes straight up to the front of this.
This is the front deck, and it still has the original rubber seals. Not sure if we're going to be able to salvage them though.
No heat, just brute force. There's actually a lock, lines up with that hole. That would have been to lock the door closed. This would have been spring loaded.
Like any original moving part, it's going to have to be heated up red hot so that the rust and debris releases. next step is to clean off where all the old well has been torn away. With nice clean edges to work with, the boys heat the plate and head to the press.
Forward a little bit. Alright, that's it. The way I'm supposed to be. Here. Bring it through and press it here on the line. That's good. That's good. Take the clamps off. Right back towards me. Yeah, we're just going to put that in place. We've taken all the old welds off. We're just going to put it in place and just tack it for now. Because we've got to remove this again later on to put the put all the sprockets and everything in. We're pretty lucky with this plate. This plate is really good, so we don't have to do much to it. So we can move straight onto the superstructure from this. So this is the first piece. Sit that in, tack it in, and then put the superstructure straight on, and then just start building that.
He makes it all sound so easy. Hang on a minute. Something isn't quite right here. Can you spot it?
Oh yeah, it's got a recess.
That's yours, look. Mine's about 15 inches.
It is a bit kicked up at this end, isn't it?
Parts of the plate are so thin that as it's cooled, it's returned to its original bent position.
That plate was straight. It's so thin through here. Any change there would affect this, you know. What do you want to do?
Press it back the other way.
A little mishap, but nothing too serious. The front deck is nice and straight, and Bo tack welds it into position. We return to the part pile for the superstructure. When our STUG was blown up, instead of tearing through the stainless steel weld, the force of the blast has torn and deformed the plate itself. But where it's been welded using mild steel electrodes, the plate has come apart easily at the joins, tearing cleanly away with minimal deformation.
The one underneath is the other side of our superstructure, which is blown off, and that piece there is actually the rear of the superstructure. So the bottom of that is where the engine decks come up to. So yeah, it's a rear plate. That hole in the back there is the like a cabin vent, I guess, like a superstructure vent. Would have had a fan on there and a little plate on the outside to
For all the fumes.
extract fumes and anything. Yeah.
It's great to have such a complete set of parts, and despite how it may initially look, it's actually in really great condition. As with all original parts, they have to be completely stripped of nuts and bolts and have the sides cleaned of old broken weld. This is the standard that the plates have to be before assembly. It will take a lot of work, but it will mean everything will come together much easier. The tool that Bo is using is called a plasma cutter. The plasma cutter works off compressed air that passes through an electrode. In very basic terms, this electrode causes the molecules of the compressed air to be ripped apart, which creates plasma. The plasma is forced through a cutting tip, and this contains enough pressure and heat to cut through steel like a hot knife through butter. Bo then uses a needle gun to remove the bulk of the slag. Taking away these large chips will make it a lot easier to grind in the next step. Finally, we're ready to assemble the superstructure.
It's like 2-pack and biggie.
Oh yeah. You can see here a great example of the strength of a stainless steel weld. It's so strong that the plate has peeled apart instead of breaking cleanly away at the join where it was welded. It makes it very tricky to put back together.
Boy, I'd never be able to try.
They're going to close that gap up. We've got about 6 mil or so of the gap we can hit forward. It's just hanging over the gap up.
So, right? Perfect.
You're going to hit it. The whole thing.
It's bouncing.
The whole thing. If I put this clamp here and it's hitting, it's not allowing this plate to come this way. Keep jumping back. Just push on it. See what happens.
Good.
Doesn't move at all yet. Wait. Grind up. that you know taking heaps off. That's what happens when you get two plates that don't break off like this, and they break off and like that. You've got to join them back together. They like overlap.
If you go and have a look at that side, there's exactly the same gap there as that side. Go and have a look.
It's not quite flush, so Bo dogs it in with a wedge and tack welds it in place. After so many decades of neglect, the plates for the superstructure are reunited. Now it's time to test fit it to the hull. Progress is steady and everything is fitting together really well, but it's only the start of the STUG 3 journey. Since this vehicle will be restored to running condition, it will be well over a year before it makes its first laps around the track. As we approach the end of the year, we have one final Jag Panther episode and a little Christmas special to share with you before the workshops close for a few weeks for the Christmas holidays. So keep those likes coming, keep the comments coming, and keep an eye out for the next Workshop Wednesday. So until then, I'm Kurt from Armour, and I'll see you on the next one.